You see these talking heads describe firefighters as heroes. Well, not everyone in California thinks that the firefighters are heroes. There is a thing going on called Stop the Bop. And what it is, the purpose of it, is that the California State Board of Pharmacies oversees all the pharmacies and they protect patients, or so they say they are. Yet they are actively harming firefighters by blocking access to legal treatments that make California firefighters vulnerable to all kinds of things. And we're going to discuss that today a little bit. They're proposing regulations which would block patients' access to glutathione and B12. You know, a lot of firefighters, a lot of people in high stress mental jobs and high stress physical jobs, they order high vitality liquid or high vitality caps from Phoenix Nutritionals since I've been here for over 20 years. And when you ask them, they always say the reason why they do that is because they don't have to add anything additional because it has everything already in it. Mm-hmm. And just to start off with the Stop the Bop, why do firefighters benefit so much from glutathione and B12?
Well, vitamin B12 has its own antioxidant properties. It also helps with cellular support. And glutathione, of course, is a good and powerful antioxidant. And antioxidants are necessary to prevent us protect us from environmental exposure. And who would be more vulnerable to environmental exposure than firefighters?
Yeah. And even our last video about it, we got a lot of people to go over to the Stop the Bop. I think it's just about ending. You can sign the petition to help the firefighters. And basically what they're doing is they're voting to ban the natural B12 and glutathione covered by insurance. Which one is the one that helps repair the lungs?
Well, the most powerful antioxidant that we have for lung protection is N-acetylcysteine, or known as NAC.
NAC, yeah. And so what does glutathione do?
Well, it's anytime you have exposure, whether it's from any source of potential toxins or carcinogens, antioxidants play a role. And what we have found is that a wide variety of supportive antioxidants is better than using just one by itself.
Oh, okay.
Because the sum of the parts is greater than the parts.
So you would actually be describing high vitality liquid.
I would, yeah.
Yeah. And so is that kind of what when you created high vitality liquid, you must have had that in mind to make it so complete and so jam-packed with everything?
Well, originally when I started in supplements, you had to buy so many different products to get everything.
Yeah.
You had to buy a multivitamin, you had to buy a multimineral, you had to buy an antioxidant, a fatty acid, a trace mineral supplement. And it just got increasingly prohibitive cost-wise for people to do that. Plus which, it's bloody inconvenient.
Yeah.
You've got all this stuff lined up on the counter, and every day it's sort of a ritual. Open, swallow, open, dump, swallow. And people said, oh, I don't have time for this. I'm just going to take this one.
Yeah.
And then they ended up fragmenting nutrition. So the concept behind high vitality liquid, especially, was a one-stop shop. If we could get everything, at least for baseline potency, in one formula, that person would be more likely to take it every day and would be more likely to be able to afford it.
And then let's talk about a little bit about absorption. I mean, with the liquid and even the liquid gel caps, the absorption is so much higher. And when, let's say, you have those people who go, oh, well, I take a multivitamin, but then I supplement with vitamin A. Or, oh, I take a multivitamin, but then I supplement with B12. And with something like high vitality liquid or capsules, that's really not needed. I mean, of course, if you're high stress mentally or high stress physically, yes. But for the average person, the high vitality liquid by itself or capsules is good enough.
Yes, unless you have a specific reason for taking isolated nutrients. And then those nutrients should only be taken together with a multi-formula.
Yeah.
Because you want to keep it balanced. And you see, especially the B complex, when you take high amounts of one of the Bs in the absence of the others, then the problem occurs is that it depresses the absorption of the lesser ones. Secondly, vitamin B6 is the carrier nutrient. And the carrier nutrient means that it's necessary to carry and transport other nutrients, especially the other B vitamins. And so if you're taking B12 in the absence of B6, then you're getting even less absorption from an already difficult nutrient to assimilate.
And so some of the facts that are on stopthebop.com where you can sign that petition is glutathione is a natural antioxidant that help prevent cancer by repairing cell damage by pollution, stress, and other harmful chemicals. And so you would say that glutathione needs to be taken with the other antioxidants.
Well, it works better, yes.
Yeah. And so nationwide, cancer is the leading cause of death among firefighters, and glutathione has demonstrated promising results in reversing toxicity. And is that probably because is it intravenous, or is it absorption, or is it?
It's just a lack of it in the diet. It's a
Yeah.
lack of it in a supplement form. But I think what we have to realize is that these nutrients are not islands unto themselves.
Yeah.
Granted, firefighters need increased NAC, increased B12, increased glutathione because of their occupational situation. But there are other nutrients that should at least get an honorable mention. For example, vitamin A. Vitamin A protects the mucosal linings of the body.
Yeah.
So that's the mouth, the nose, the sinuses.
And where is vitamin A in our diet?
Pretty darn scarce unless you eat a lot of fatty fish.
Oh, okay.
It's available in the form of beta carotene in a lot of vegetables.
Oh, like carrots.
For example, carrots. But keep in mind that beta carotene is not vitamin A. It is the precursor of vitamin A.
Oh.
So the body can convert beta carotene to vitamin A, but only in very limited amounts.
Okay.
So if you're, for example, in a situation where, like firefighters, where you're inhaling all of this potentially toxic material, protecting the mucosal linings of the mouth, the nose, sinuses, obviously has value.
Very important, yeah. And so what about stuff like B12? This is a good fact that they have on there. The National Institutes of Health estimate that 43% of older adults have a vitamin B12 deficiency. Where is vitamin B12 in our diet if 43% are deficient?
Well, the problem with vitamin B12 is it's not found only in animal products.
Oh.
So if you avoid red meat, if you avoid concentrated proteins, and you're more or less a grain and vegan individual, your risk of B12 deficiency explosively multiplies.
So does it matter how, because for example, I saw something about B12 and fatty animal proteins. Is there anything with that?
Well, that's where the most concentrated B12 would be.
Oh, okay. So in the healthy fat.
Yes.
Okay. And another fact on their website is many Lyme disease patients have depleted glutathione levels, making it harder for their bodies to detoxify from heavy metal, moles, and other pathogens. Is that like detoxifying from everything or just those things?
Well, in general, it's a detoxification problem because of the disease pathology.
Yeah.
But we also know that because of the high level of constant exposure to these toxins, many firefighters have similar problems as do people with Lyme disease, even though they don't have it.
I see. Okay. So that's probably why they have that fact on the website.
Likely so.
And so back to NAC, has been shown to be the single most powerful antioxidant to protect lung tissue. And you would say that's true.
Yeah, definitely.
Except for to add all the other ones with it.
Yeah, but NAC is an amazing nutrient for many reasons, because it has what we call the broad spectrum approach when it comes to antioxidant benefits.
Yeah. And so this one, the last fact from their website sounds exactly like a high vitality liquid ad. Vitamin B12 is very difficult to absorb. What other nutrients can help increase their absorption?
Well, one of them is vitamin B6.
Okay. Like you were saying earlier.
The universal carrier nutrient, which is the big problem with taking vitamin B12 by itself.
So shouldn't you kind of be taking a B complex that has
There we go. That's right.
Yeah.
At the very least.
At the very least.
Yeah.
Or just the high vitality liquid has a bunch of B's.
But when you consider all the other potential benefits from other nutrients, vitamin A, vitamin D, the B complex, vitamin C, a powerful antioxidant.
Yeah.
It only makes sense to, at least in the foundation, take a good full spectrum supplement that will not only help to balance body chemistry, but provide these nutrients. Because trying to second guess, well, I'll take a little of this, or I'll take a little of that, or I'll take a lot of that, you're walking a dangerous path, because the body requires balance. And when you have too much of one thing and not enough of another, it's almost as bad as having too little of everything. So I always advise people take a full spectrum supplement first, and then, as in the case of our firefighters, add extra B12, NAC, add extra antioxidants, because that way you avoid the pitfalls of potentially imbalancing your chemistry.
Yeah. Well, our hearts go out to the firefighters in California, and pretty much and all firefighters, really. I'll put the link down below to the high vitality liquid and the high vitality capsules. For over 20 years since I've been here at Phoenix Nutritionals, I've always talked to firefighters and emergency responders and pilots and people who have high stress jobs, and they've always told me that. And so whenever things come up like the Stop the Bop, it makes me remember those things over the last 20 years. And
keep in mind too, that the things we're discussing today are not just for firefighters.
Yeah.
They're for you and I, because we breathe that air out there. And I'll tell you, living in California, especially this last year, particulate matter in the air that we breathe has risen exponentially for weeks because of all of those fires and all that smoke and toxins that get displaced into the environment, and they rise, and then they spread out, and then they eventually settle back down again, and we're out for our healthy walk inhaling those materials. And you can use that as an example all across the country. Now they've had a wildfire outbreak in the South. And then there's, so many other naturally occurring conditions that 100 years ago probably would have produced negligible impact. But today, because of the already toxic environment that we have, you're just adding more fuel to the potential fire of respiratory problems.